Hi, everyone. I am Heather with Magnificent Mommas, and we are joined today with Ashley Ferris. I'm going to let Ashley go ahead and introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Ashley Ferris. I am a wife and mother. I am an author, a podcaster, and an author coach. I am excited to be here today.
Thank you so much. We're excited to have you. You are a woman of all trades, it sounds like.
Handful of things at least, yeah.
So do you want to talk about your book first?
So I am one of those people who grew up wanting to write. I wrote a ton of short stories and little things in my youth, and I dreamed about being an author. And it's interesting when you get to actually go to school and start to pursue those things, how fear will absolutely squelch out those dreams. And I truthfully put it on a shelf when I went to college. Didn't think about it again for about 10 years. And fast forward to being a mom of young kids and really just feeling that pull to start to write. And I'm a faith-based writer. So faith is a big part of my life. And I was praying about it and wanting to do something with it because I could just feel it just beating in my heart. And it got open doors to start writing for blogs. And I made a great connection with a gal at my church who was she was publishing her own book. And so she kind of guided me in the very beginnings of the process. It's such a crazy thing to have this urge to write and you have no idea where to put that and what outlet or what it's going to look like. And so I'm really grateful that she came along at the time she did. She guided me. She invited me to write for her blog. That was a Christian stay-at-home mom blog. I started writing like 3 or 4 times a month. And that honestly developed that habit of the writer's lifestyle, which I think, again, something that we just don't know.
Do you still blog with her?
I don't anymore. It's funny how I think blogs are really kind of coming back, but they were in vogue for a while, and then we've gotten excited about social media and video clips and reels and everything. But I do see the blog starting to reemerge as a more inviting space than it has been in the last 5 or 6 years. So I will probably blog again at some point.
If you're ever looking for guests, you're welcome to guest blog on our blog.
Yep. And I think it's a great thing, especially if anyone's looking to write and they just don't know quite where to put it. Blogs are such a great avenue to begin that writing journey. And whether you write for your own blog or whether you start putting yourself out there and doing guest blogs, it's such a great way to hone in the craft of fleshing out an idea that becomes digestible for a reader. So yes, I'm a big fan of blogs, and that's where I started. And as that journey progressed, she actually guided me in developing a couple of devotionals and self-publishing. And that was such a cool thing because it was such a bucket list, like, oh, I want to be published. And so I did that for the first couple devotionals that I wrote. And then I started working on my third one. And as I was getting into it, I felt like God was calling me into writing a nonfiction book. So I actually finished it as a devotional and then felt like that wasn't the right direction. So I stripped all the devotional pieces out of it and continued growing it. So it was like a 6-year journey that was supposed to be like a 1 year journey.
Well, I mean, it was going until it was the right thing, the way it was supposed to be.
And so all of the process was valuable, and it was all teaching me something about myself as an author, as well as coming to the culmination of the final product. So in 2018, I was at the very end of the year. I had actually ran a marathon that year. I never thought I could, but it took obviously almost a whole year to train. And that was probably the coolest part about it, is learning how those little yeses all along the way culminated in the big thing. And my goal was to finish under 5 hours and not be injured. And I did both of those things. I didn't set any records, but because of all those little trainings every week consistently for so long, my body was able to do that. I mean, I couldn't go out and do that now. I would die.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't do it.
And I haven't done it since. It's a big time commitment to train for those kind of things. But what God was teaching me in that moment was it's all about those little yeses. So it's about, the Thursday mornings that I would get up at 6 a.m. and head to Starbucks and write every single week and stay committed to this thing. And then when I felt it changing directions, staying committed and changing directions and sticking with it. And at the end of November of 2018, so the 1st of November, that first weekend I ran the marathon. At the end of that month, I submitted my manuscript to United House Publishing and got an interview and ended up with a book contract at the beginning of 2019. And then again, the publishing process always takes longer, especially when we're hiding from our edits and have imposter syndrome. So
Yep.
the book didn't actually release until November of 2022. 2020.
Like what? Almost a year?
It was 2021. So the book just turned 2 this past fall. It's funny. I can remember my kids' ages, but not my book baby, apparently.
Aw, poor book baby.
Yeah. It's sitting right here feeling very judged, I'm sure. But there we have it. Like I said, it came out in 2021. It's called The Fabulous Journey. It's about becoming holy. It's the invitation to lean into sanctification. You know, in our faith, the salvation is instantaneous, and that's what happens because of the work of Jesus. But the refinement that happens within our lives is really up to us to lean in and say yes to it. And so that's what this book is. It's that drawing invitation to understand that when we lean in and when we say yes, we get to know who God is. And that is the fabulous journey. There's a quote by Graham Cook. It actually created the title of my book, but it says, maturity is a long road, but a fabulous journey. And I just gravitated towards that. And that's why it became the title of my book, because it really is, in the end, it's the fabulous journey. But in those individual moments, it may not be
Long.
Yes.
So would you say your book is geared towards people that have already accepted Jesus, or could anyone that's walking the line, so to speak, would they relate to it and bring value from it?
Yeah, I think anyone who has just an inkling or a curiosity about the faith, I think they would find value in it. It's not a super deep dive. It's not intended to be that, just because I wanted it to be more accessible to the curious wanderer and to the new believer, and even the believer who has been, going to church for years, and they just feel like there's something more. They just have this unrest in their heart that says there's more to this than just getting up early on Sunday and heading to a building. So I hope to answer those longings of their heart in the book.
That makes sense. Would you say teenagers could read it, or just adults, or?
The concepts are definitely easily digestible for a teenager. I would say more of my stories involve my kids, some of my friends, but so definitely moms would relate, just because there's a lot of parallels. I really feel like God has taught me a lot about us as his kids by raising my own kids. Although sometimes the wrath part, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I really do. How do you stand us for so long? I only have to be with these people for this long, and they're going to grow up and be adults. But he's long suffering, and he's been around a lot longer than I have.
And every single person on the planet you've got to deal with.
Right.
And then not even just that, not even just the, billions of people, but all the ones from before, all the ones to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is a lot.
Mind-blowing when we think about it. And here I am, like I said, wanting to hide from my children after only being with them for 15 or 16 years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you've seen what happened with my 15-year-old a few minutes ago, so I can get that. So you're an author coach as well. What does that entail?
I honestly tell people all the time, I can't believe I get paid to do what I do. So I got my book contract through United House Publishing, and it's a hybrid publisher. And I didn't even know those existed when I first started this writing journey. But a year into my contract with them, I had an author coach myself. So when we give someone a book contract, we assign an author coach with them. And that person is designed to mentor them in whatever capacity. We're a faith-based publishing company, so we predominantly publish, life-giving, faith-based books.
Yes.
So when we come alongside an author, we are mentoring them, not just for their writing life. It might be some technical stuff. It might be setting goals or going through their content, that kind of thing. But it also could be just doing life with them and praying with them and working through that imposter syndrome, that kind of stuff. So we're mentoring them on the whole as they go through the writing process. And like I said, about a year into my journey as an author with United House, there was an opening in the author coaching department. Somebody recommended me for it. And I actually, almost exactly 4 years ago, I got my logins and started working the same week that the world shut down and all my kids came home. So
oh, nice.
That was super fun too.
That's awesome, though. I mean, it's still really cool to be able to do that and help those authors in need of a little extra, maybe guidance and uplifting. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so we create community and network within our whole company, but even just to know that they're not alone. I'm a published author myself, so I really do know what it feels like to be sick of your own words and just want the editor to take them from you and get them back, give me some fresh perspective. And I've ridden through all of those ups and downs. So it's important for me to know that they're not alone, because it's a very lonely process. But so I get paid to talk and pray with authors and watch them come to the finish line and celebrate their book babies. I jokingly call myself a book doula because I get to just co-labor with them and help them, bring that baby into the world and be excited about it. So sometimes our gestation's a lot longer. So it feels like more arduous labor.
Nothing is going to be done always the time you plan. Sometimes it needs to cook a little while longer.
Yep. And so that's something that I get, like I said, to partner with them. And it's a joy in my heart. I didn't know the job existed. I didn't know, that this kind of thing would be my future, but I really love it. I love what I do. And I look forward to continuing, as we grow and expand and I work on my next book. It's just, all of this world is a lot of fun for me.
And you said the publishing company you work for, what was the name of it?
It's United House Publishing.
United House.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone looking for faith-based publishers, there's a recommendation. And then you're starting your podcast, or you've already started it?
It's actually going to be turning 2 in May. So I just did my 90th episode, I think, last week. So it's a weekly podcast called Embracing the Wild, and it's about helping people live a spirit-led life. So every week it's 10 to 15 minutes, and it's a faith topic of sorts. Currently, I'm going through a series on the fruit of the Spirit. And so we're just exploring, what does that look like in our lives? I typically unpack a little bit of scripture, but then I always have a challenge question, something for them to be reflecting on, because I firmly believe that intentionality is the chutzpah behind all of the change in our lives. For me, as a faith-based person, the Holy Spirit is who does that good work. But if we're numbing out and we're never checking in, we're not connecting to the power source. So those challenge questions are designed to give them something to ruminate on when they do that pause and when they take that time to be intentional. So they're bite-sized pieces, but I hope that they spur people on to deeper thought.
That's awesome. That's very motivational and, thought-provoking.
It's been a lot of fun. It's challenging at times. We are currently hosting a foreign exchange student, and so my office became his bedroom. So that's why I have 4 kids at this point. And so it's always fun to try to find times to record when nobody's here and, it's quiet. And I've tucked up in my bedroom multiple times just to try to get that sound, just right. So it comes with its own challenges to be doing that kind of thing as a side gig. But I do really love it. And I hope that my listeners are encouraged and enjoy the realness of it. It's not
definitely.
It's not a polished thing, but it's the sound quality is good. And it
matters. I know the room that I'm in is technically like our bedroom. Due to my health issues, our bed is in the front room for my safety. So the bedroom has gotten turned into like a gaming / office. So when my husband's at work, I am back here away from the noise for the most part and the quietness, and it works good. Plus I have a really good editor that's great with the sound and graphics and whatnot. So do you have anything else special you want to talk about today?
No, I mean, I would love to invite people to check out my book is on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, Walmart.com.
Everywhere, all the main places.
The basic online avenues, and then, checking out my podcast of Embracing the Wild. And I just hope that it feels like, having coffee with a friend, that they're just chatting about these faith topics, just trying to figure them out. I don't claim to have it all figured out, and I don't claim to have the market cornered on any of it, honestly, but I love the conversation, and I love being open to just even fleshing out unfinished thoughts. I think that there's a lot of freedom to just sit and untangle those things, pressure cooker where we have to have it all figured out. It's a fun space to just explore and be open to hearing who God is and what he has to say about things.
And he's got a lot to say.
And he's always talking. Our world is usually too loud for us to hear. It's our noise level that needs to be taken down a notch. And so even inviting people into the practices of slowing down and taking quiet time, even if it's a small amount. That's one of the big things I harp on my podcast is make it a teeny tiny thing. Establishing the habit is the hardest part. You can always expand the habit once it's established, but establishing it is so monumental for us that we start out small to create that success. So, I tell them spend 5 minutes in the morning with God, whether that's in solitude. It's based kind of on your personality. If it's solitude, if you need that full quiet to really feel recharged, set a timer on your phone, put it aside, do 5 minutes of solitude. If it's reading God's word, do 5 minutes of that. If it's sitting and listening to worship music or writing in a journal or walking out in nature, it's okay to lean towards something that you and yourself love, because God created you to love something, and you're going to be different than the next person. But if you're doing it intentionally to connect with Him, then it matters. But set that 5 minute timer and do it, and make it the thing that you do establish that consistency in that thing. And then if you want to make it 10 minutes later, it's easier to make it 10 minutes once you've already established that 5 minute habit. That's what I would encourage any of your listeners to do, is start small and make it consistent.
And that goes along with anything, whether it's faith, whether it's writing,
learning a new language, learning to do a new skill.
Electronics.
Yep. Set yourself up for success by making it really attainable, and then go from there.
That's awesome. I agree completely. Start small and expand on it. You can make all your dreams come true.
And that's even true if you're looking, like I have friends who want to read more throughout the year. I tell them, set a 5 minute timer and read whatever book. Doesn't matter. Read it for 5 minutes. If you read it 5 minutes every day, you will finish that book.
Yeah. I don't think I could manage to read for 5 minutes a day though.
I'm a bookworm, so
5 minutes is
discipline to actually put the book down.
Yeah. I don't know. I reviewed a book by an author, Timothy King, who wrote horror, and it was a great book. It really was. And I had it done within a day.
Oh my goodness.
And it wasn't super long, but it was great. And the characters were relatable. And so I started at 11 o'clock one night, read until 2 a.m., went to sleep, got up, worked all day, and roughly the same time, maybe a little earlier the next night, started again. And then I finally, finished it. And I was like, man, that was fast. I hadn't read a book that fast in a while, but it was good and absorbing everything to find a book that you can enjoy.
Doesn't happen real often, but I love the ones where you're like, can I just ignore all my domestic duties and everything else around me for 24 hours and just consume this book?
Yep. And then you get to the end and it's especially if it's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
There's a sequel coming, but it's not out yet. And you get so agitated.
You almost have to mourn them as characters for the next 24 hours and kind of reacclimate into the real world.
My daughter listens to audiobooks a lot, and she's listening to this one series. And the next book in it, the fourth book in the series, isn't on the audiobook yet. So she's so upset. And so she's gone back 3 times now, re-listening to all the ones she already owns. And it's Zoe, there's other books you can read.
Yeah.
Audiobooks you can listen to by great authors as well.
Very true.
But I want to listen to this. I love these. There's more. I promise.
There's even places that will suggest things because you like that one. They'll give you these suggestions.
Yep. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. If that's all right with you, we will make sure to have links on our website to your book, podcast, everything like that. All right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure having Ashley Ferris here with us today, and I hope you all have connected and just really enjoyed her message, and I hope it inspires you, your faith, on your writing, on any part of your life that needs a little bit of TLC. And I want to thank you all for watching today, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Ashley.
Yeah, thanks for having me today. It was great.
It was awesome. Thank you.